Well, in light of that recent government announcement that blanket restrictions on non-essential overseas travel will be relaxed in the UK from July the 6th, we're looking at your questions on travelling abroad this evening. So let's speak now to Jill Starley-Grainger, who is editor at Jet Set Journeys. Good afternoon to you. Good evening, even.
Good evening.
Hello there. Can I ask the first question from Alan Cromarty? And he asks, if I travel to the UK on, say, the 1st of July, do I still have to self-isolate for 14 days or only until the 6th of July?
So I've been told that technically you should self-isolate that long. However, realistically, who's going to be checking on it? That is a big question. And yeah, I think that is an issue. So it depends on the country you're coming back from, of course, but I would honestly be very surprised if there were spot checks after that, but I don't know. The government won't say. So I'd say technically, yes, you're meant to, if that tells you anything.
But it might be a bit wiser to wait until July the 6th.
Yes, if you can. But of course, some people are still abroad, and so they're trying to get back as soon as possible. So some people might just go ahead and try to come back, understandably.
Yes, of course. A question from Irene Smith, who says, we are 72 and 73. We've booked a Villa Plus holiday to Cyprus on the 5th of August. We've paid the full amount, but we don't feel safe to go. Can we get a refund?
So in most cases, no, you can't just get a refund. But what you could do is go to your travel insurance because the Foreign Office advice is still in place. August is a little bit far away, but most travel insurers, if you call them, if you're in an at-risk category, such as anyone who's over 70, they may say yes, they will go ahead and refund the cost of the trip if you cancel. But the travel agent does not have to refund you. That is the difference. So until the travel agent cancels the trip, they don't have to refund you, but you could speak to your travel agent because in a lot of cases they would let you.
So sometimes it's discretionary, is it?
That's right, yes. So because the Foreign Office advice currently still says all but essential travel, certainly in the short term, you should be able to get it from your travel agent.
Okay, that's really useful. Thank you. Chris.
So it could be that Cyprus might be one of these countries.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You cut out a little bit there.
Oh, sorry.
I'll move on to the next question, which is from Chris. And he or she asks, I want to book a holiday home in southern France. Are there legal requirements for cleaning to protect visitors from coronavirus? It's a really good question.
So most countries have put out guidelines that are meant for the hospitality industry. So I don't think there are any specific requirements just for villas. So there are guidelines for many countries. Italy has brought in some very strict guidelines, and some of those are actually laws, but they primarily relate to hotels. But because villas are seen to be slightly lower risk, it's all then just around the country's social distancing rules. And so you need to make sure you know those rules before you go to any destination. If you go to the Foreign Office website and go to the destination, it should provide you with the basic information that they are requiring for anybody who is in the country. So in France, there are some very strict rules in place, but I don't think there's anything specifically for villas. But you will find that almost any villa company will have very high cleaning protocols. Lots of them are putting in extra days between visitors to allow for more thorough cleaning.
Okay, and villas are presumably seen as being less high risk than hotels because you just don't have that volume of traffic.
That's right, and that's why there's been a massive surge in people trying to book villas all of a sudden, and we're just, people are guessing where they can go, but a lot of villa companies and a lot of travel companies in general are allowing you to go ahead and book, but they'll give you a free full cancellation if the government policy isn't in line with your country. Do check, because not every travel company is doing that, but lots of really great villa companies in particular are doing that. They're letting you book your villa so you can secure that place for 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, but they're saying you don't actually have to pay in full, or you can cancel and get a full refund if the government doesn't put this country as one of the Airbridges. So it is, villas would be a great choice for summer, I think.
Yeah, it's really good to know. Andrew Twynham asks, can you tell us what ferries are doing for social distancing? They seem to have been forgotten.
They haven't been forgotten. They have actually been in the same government guidance as airplanes. So you will be required to wear a mask when you're on the ferry. And when you're on the ferry, you are meant to adhere to the same social distancing that you do anywhere else. So it's currently, I think it's that 1 meter plus, the sort of vague 1 meter plus. And bear in mind, in different countries, so if you're getting ferries in Greece, for example, again, they're going to have their own rules and regulations there, so make sure you check those. As far as the hygiene and the cleaning, it's essentially all going to be the same requirements as they would have for planes or trains. So there will be enhanced protocols in place. So they haven't been forgotten. It's just that it's not in the news so much because most people are talking about planes and trains.
And to a certain extent, you might think it would be easier to socially distance on a ferry. It's just that much bigger.
Exactly, yeah. So, and also you've got the open air, and we do know that when you are in open air, you know, there is the whole thing about it's not quite as easy to transmit the virus. So if you're outside rather than being inside the ferry, you know, yeah, it does seem like it's quite a good option if you can travel on a ferry.
Question here from Bruce McMillan about health insurance. He asks, now that the UK has left the EU, do reciprocal NHS systems apply, or do you have to have separate insurance in case of medical emergencies?
Well, so the really good news this year is that even though we have left technically, we're still in the transition period. And so your EHIC card is still valid in all of the EU countries. However, it's worth bearing in mind that all that means is that you get the same treatment as locals do, and it's not free in every country. And you should be really careful that if you go to certain countries, they might send you to a private hospital without you realizing it. So make sure if you do get hospitalized in an EU country and you're relying on that EHIC this year, be really clear that you want to go to one of the public hospitals so that EHIC covers it. But because without that, I would definitely take out travel insurance. I always would take out travel insurance.
Okay, we got the crucial bit. You cut out again there, Jill, but we got the crucial last bit of always taking out travel insurance if in doubt. So that's a very good point.
Yes, and for any reason, yeah.
Okay. Julia asks, she says, I have a holiday booked in August to Lanzarote. Am I within my rights to ask for a refund if some of the main amenities are not open?
So that's a tricky one because it depends on how many of the amenities are closed, and it depends on your particular trip. So technically, if everything at your destination is shut, then you would have a fairly strong case. But the difficulty is getting the travel agent to agree to it. So if they don't agree to refund you, if you say, you know, I'm going on this trip, if you had booked a trip specifically, the trip talks about, let's say the brochure talks about all the water sports facilities available, and that's one of the key reasons you booked the trip, then technically you could cancel and get your money back. But the problem is, unless you get the travel agent to agree to that, you could well end up in small claims, which could take years. So I would say, if you really feel like your holiday is going to be ruined, try to get your travel agent on side, because otherwise it could be, 2-3 years and you're having to go to small claims court. You might win, but that is a massive hassle. But technically, yes, if you have booked a trip for specific reasons, then you could potentially be eligible to get your money back. But if you just booked, for example, a villa, the travel agent wouldn't have to give you your money back unless it had specifically talked about all of the other activities available to you.
Okay. Ken Foster says that there are some countries, for example, Thailand, where there haven't been any new COVID cases for a few weeks, and Vietnam, where there haven't been any deaths whatsoever. Should countries like them be added to the list of places where we can holiday without the need to quarantine on return, as they have a far better record than, for instance, Spain, which appears likely to be exempt?
Sadly, number 10 has not put me on the SAGE committee, because I would certainly be in agreement that, yes, why countries that have a lower rate of transmission aren't included. I mean, of course, we don't know who's included, so we might find that when the official list is put out, Thailand is on there. Maybe New Zealand will be on there. But you have to bear in mind that these corridors also require the country at the other end to agree to let us in. So it is a two-way thing. So yes, but I would definitely agree. You would expect that countries that have a lower incidence than the UK does, and UK still has one of the highest, I think it's the highest in Europe and still one of the highest in the world, you would expect those other countries would be included, but I don't think that many countries will be. I think it'll be quite limited initially to maybe about 10 or 15, and they'll primarily be in the EU.
Okay, well, we'll find that out probably in the middle of next week. A question now from Alan Proud, who's from Essex. Now, he is remembering the advice in March that anyone over the age of 70 shouldn't go on a cruise. And he asks, is that advice still in place? Has it been reviewed? Is there any indication it might be rescinded? He and his wife were already booked on a cruise around Australia in March 2021 when that advice was issued, and they will be 70 and 78 respectively by the time they're due to travel.
So the advice has not changed, but of course they always say, yes, it's constantly being reviewed. Realistically, there are virtually no cruises happening anywhere right now anyway. A few cruise lines are hoping to bring out some cruises in the autumn, but that will be dependent on various governments changing their rules about cruises. The cruise industry in general is so I think hopefully by March, though, you should be able to go on your cruise, but I don't know because it depends. Certainly, I would imagine that even next year, many of the cruises that people had booked will still be canceled. But you can't cancel yet because March is too far ahead to say what will be happening. So no insurance is going to refund you yet for that. Fingers crossed it goes ahead. But right now in the short term, pretty much no cruises are happening anyway. So if you were going in the next month or two, you would probably find your cruise had been canceled anyway, and you should then be eligible for a refund.
So Alan Proud is just going to have to be patient. Thank you so much, Jill. We have to end that there, but thank you so much for all that advice. That's Jill Starley-Grainger, the editor at Jet Set Journeys. Thank you.